I want you to imagine a scenario that plays out in clinics across the world every single day. You walk into a sterile room, sit on the crinkly paper of the exam table, and the physician wraps a cuff around your upper arm to measure your blood pressure. We accept this as the gold standard of vital signs. However, a landmark study known as the PURE study, published in The Lancet, followed nearly 140,000 adults across 17 countries. The data they uncovered was startling, perhaps even unsettling for the medical establishment. They found that grip strength, the simple mechanical force you can generate with your hand, was a more accurate predictor of all-cause mortality and cardiovascular disease than systolic blood pressure. Let that sink in for a moment. The firmness of your handshake is whispering secrets about the future of your heart, your brain, and your lifespan. But I am not here to frighten you with statistics about decline. I am here to hand you the manual for your own physiology. Today, we are going to dismantle the simplistic idea that you just need to squeeze a rubber ball while watching television. We are going to explore the molecular and neurological machinery behind your grip, understanding why it fades, and more importantly, exactly how we are going to rebuild it. To understand why grip strength is such a potent crystal ball for longevity, we must first distinguish between two medical terms that are often used interchangeably yet mean very different things. Those terms are sarcopenia and dynapenia. You likely know sarcopenia. It is the age-related loss of muscle mass. It is the visible shrinking of the biceps or the calves. But dynapenia is the age-related loss of muscle strength and power. Here is the critical distinction. Dynapenia happens 2 to 5 times faster than sarcopenia. You can have a muscular-looking arm that has lost 40% of its contractile efficiency. Why does this happen? When you squeeze your hand, you are not merely contracting a muscle belly in your forearm. You are initiating a violently complex electrical storm. The command begins in the motor cortex of your brain, travels down the spinal cord, and branches out into the peripheral nerves, finally hitting the neuromuscular junction, the gap where the nerve talks to the muscle. Think of your nervous system like a vast electrical grid and your muscles like the appliances in your home. A weak grip does not necessarily mean the appliance is broken. It often means the voltage from the grid is fluctuating. It is a neurological brownout. This is why the dynamometer test is so revealing. It is measuring your neural drive. It is testing the integrity of your white matter and the efficiency of your dopamine receptors. When we see grip strength plummet, we are seeing a systemic failure of the body's ability to recruit high-threshold motor units. These are the fast twitch fibers responsible for catching yourself when you trip. If you cannot recruit them to squeeze a handle, you cannot recruit them to stabilize your hip during a fall. The grip is merely the canary in the coal mine for your entire structural integrity. Let us go deeper into the biochemistry of the hand. We now look at the inflammatory theory of aging, often called inflammaging. Chronic, low-grade inflammation is the silent killer of the modern era. Research has shown a direct inverse relationship between levels of interleukin-6 and C-reactive protein, markers of systemic inflammation, and grip strength. Imagine your body is a house on fire, but the fire is inside the walls where you cannot see it. The body, in its wisdom, diverts resources away from building and maintaining expensive muscle tissue to fight the fire. A weakening grip is your body shifting into a catabolic or breakdown state to prioritize survival over strength. Now, I can feel the tension rising. You might be looking at your own hands, wondering if they are betraying you. But here is the pivot, the moment where fear transforms into agency. The neuromuscular system is incredibly plastic. It wants to adapt. It is begging for a stimulus. We are not going to simply exercise your hands. we are going to rehabilitate your nervous system. We must begin by categorizing the 3 distinct types of grip because most people only train one if they train any at all. There is the crush grip, the pinch grip, and the support grip. The crush grip is what happens during a handshake or when you squeeze a dynamometer. The pinch grip involves the thumb opposing the fingers. Think of holding a heavy plate by the rim. The support grip is the ability to hold a load for time, like carrying heavy grocery bags or hanging from a bar. For longevity, the support grip is the king. This brings us to the first pillar of our protocol, the farmer's carry. I want you to banish the image of a bodybuilder shrugging heavy weights. I want you to visualize this as a structural integrity walk. When you pick up 2 heavy objects, dumbbells, kettlebells, or even water jugs, and walk with perfect posture, something magical happens. Your rotator cuff stabilizes the shoulder. Your core braces to protect the spine. But your hands are subjected to a relentless distraction force. This sustained tension sends a high-magnitude signal to the brain that says, we are under load. We must reinforce the chassis. This triggers the release of myokines, messenger proteins released by muscle fibers that travel to the brain and improve cognitive function, while simultaneously signaling the bones to absorb more calcium. You must perform this heavy carrying at least twice a week. The weight should be sufficient that you can only hold it for perhaps 30 to 45 seconds. If you can walk forever, it is too light to stimulate the nervous system adaptation we require. Moving to our second pillar, we must address the pinch. The thumb is what separates us from most of the animal kingdom. As we age, the adductor pollicis, the fleshy muscle at the base of the thumb, atrophies. This makes opening jars difficult, yes, but it also destabilizes the entire hand. To train this, we do not need fancy equipment. We need plate pinches. You can take 2 smooth books or weight plates, sandwich them together smooth side out, and hold them by your side using only your fingertips and thumb. This isolates the fingers. It forces the small intrinsic muscles of the hand to fire. It is humbling. You will find your hand shaking. That shake, that is not weakness leaving the body. That is your nervous system learning. That is the brain mapping new neural pathways to dormant muscle fibers. Embrace the shake. Finally, we must discuss the most controversial but potentially most effective intervention, the dead hang. This is exactly what it sounds like, hanging from a bar with your feet off the ground. Now, please do not turn this audio off. I know many of you are thinking, my shoulders cannot handle that. If you have existing rotator cuff tears, we modify. We keep the feet on the floor and just bend the knees to apply partial weight. But why do we hang? Gravity is usually compressing our spine, squashing our discs day in and day out. Hanging uses gravity to decompress the spine, opening up the intervertebral spaces. Simultaneously, your grip strength is tested in the ultimate way. You are holding onto your own life. From an evolutionary perspective, the inability to hang was a death sentence. Our biology remembers this. When you hang, you are screaming at your DNA to maintain the machinery of the upper body. Aim for 30 seconds of total hang time per day, broken up however you need. There is a metabolic component to this strategy as well. We cannot build the engine without fuel. We must briefly touch upon protein. To reverse Dynapenia, you need the building blocks of myosin and actin. The research suggests that older adults have anabolic resistance. This means you need more protein than a 30-year-old to get the same muscle-building response. You should be aiming for 30 grams of high-quality protein at every meal. Without this substrate, all the farmer's carries in the world will not prevent atrophy. Let us zoom out for a moment. I want to address the psychological aspect of this journey. It is easy to feel that as we age, our world shrinks. We stop lifting heavy things. We stop reaching overhead. We stop engaging with the physicality of the world. When your grip strengthens, your world expands. You become the person who helps others with their luggage. You become the grandparent who can lift the grandchild without a twinge of fear. We are also seeing fascinating data regarding the force-velocity curve. This is a physics concept applied to physiology. Power, the ability to generate force quickly, is what prevents a fall. If you trip, you have milliseconds to shoot your hand out and grab a railing. A slow, strong grip is not enough. You need a fast grip. This is why, once you have established a baseline of strength, we introduce grip pulses. Squeezing a stress ball as explosively hard as you can for 1 second, then relaxing. Squeeze. Relax. Squeeze. Relax. We are training the speed of the signal. So what does your week look like? It is simple, but it is not easy. Twice a week, you perform the farmer's carry. You walk until your grip fails, rest, and repeat 3 times. Every single day, you find a way to hang or support your weight, decompressing your spine and challenging your support grip. And while you are watching the news or reading a book, you work on your pinch grip, holding a heavy book by the spine or squeezing a firm object between thumb and forefinger. I want to leave you with a thought about the word grasp. We use it to describe holding an object, but we also use it to describe understanding an idea. He grasped the concept. This is not a linguistic coincidence. The evolution of our hands drove the evolution of our brains. As our hands became capable of complex tasks, our brains grew to manage them. By keeping your hands complex, strong, and capable, you are keeping your brain online. You do not need to accept the frailty that society expects of you. The weakness of the hand is reversible. The dimming of the nervous system can be brightened. Biology is forgiving, but it requires a request. It requires a demand. Your grip is that demand. The next time you shake someone's hand, I want you to feel the pressure, not just as a social pleasantry, but as a testament to the reservoir of vitality you are building. You are holding on, quite literally, to your health. Go find something heavy, pick it up, carry it, and do not let go. This is the Senior Health Strategist signing off.